What's up, Mortgage Coach community? I am doing something special. I'm going to be doing more ad hoc calls. Every Tuesday at 9, I'm interviewing someone amazing. Every Friday with my wingman, Todd Bookspan, we're doing a mastermind. What's up, Todd?
Not a whole lot. I was excited to get an invitation for a midweek call.
Yeah, so I want to do more calls like this where they're topical and they're coming from you guys. So this is a conversation that has taken place in the Mortgage Coach Facebook group where people are kicking off the new year. I threw out a post saying, hey, who's gonna, who wants to join me at inbox 0 to kick off the new year? And it got a lot of traction. I mean, I think we had almost 100 comments. And then I also saw some posts from people that were saying, hey, how are you communicating with your team? There's a lot of people that are using Teams. At Mortgage Coach, we use Slack, but there's a lot of communication taking place outside of email. So I just thought, like, let's get together a group of people. And Stephanie, thank you for joining us. I know you commented on that post and you said, like, I live at inbox 0, right?
Yes. Absolutely. It's one of my things. I live off checklists and I have to be organized, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I call it a good thing, but it cringes me when people have lots of emails. I have to get them taken care of. So.
Yeah, well, I can sense that just in the tone of your voice. Describing that.
Too many.
Yeah. So Stephanie, you were a speaker on the Modern Mortgage Summit. I think I've interviewed you 2, 3. I mean, this might be the 3rd or 4th time. But for anyone who doesn't know you, just tell a little bit about what market you're in, what kind of production you do, and just high level, what kind of team you have.
I am in the Dallas-Fort Worth market, and we think this year was our best year ever, I think, for most people, but exciting. We finally broke the 100 million and we went way past it. So it was exciting. We helped 451 families for 127 million. So excited. The other thing that was so great about 2020 is I got to build out my team. So we've ramped up to go way past that this year. So we've got a lot of new employees and organized and ready to go to take on this year. So we're excited.
Well, thank you for joining us, doing that kind of volume, serving that many families. You are clearly busy. So thanks for giving back to the community and joining the stage. Keith Collins, real quick, if you could tell, like, you commented on that too. So one of the reasons why I invited you both is that you both commented that, hey, you live in inbox 0. So kind of share a little bit about what you're doing, and then also share your production and tell us a little bit about your team.
Yeah, awesome. From a production standpoint, so I'm a producing regional leader. So my personal team, we did a little over 85 million, about 230 families helped in 2020. And then the region that I run, we did a little over 700 million in production. My team itself, I have 3 people that support me personally, and then I have 2 people that kind of support me from a regional standpoint in the market that I run. But for me, like the thing that's important with email is kind of like it's a mental thing. It's kind of like hitting the snooze button in the morning. How am I starting the day? And when I come into the office and I've got 32, 42, a ton of unread emails, I don't feel awesome. I don't feel like I'm leaning in the day. And I think that's one of those things that, like, how are you starting 2021? Are you on the balls of your feet? Are you on the heels of your feet? Like, are you ready to rock? And that's just one of those little things. Like, it's not, if you have 100 emails in your inbox or 5,000, you can be extremely successful. But I think it's just one of those little things as part of kind of the slight edge that really helps you mentally when you're starting the day. Like, how productive are you going to be? And if you've got 10 emails, like, your day is clear. You're not responding. So I think the other thing that I would add is, I heard this the other day as I was talking about email with my teams, is your inbox is someone else's to-do list. And so when you have an inbox that's overloaded, you're allowing somebody else to really control what you're doing, as opposed to you controlling your day. And we know in the mortgage industry, the way that we make money is proactive behavior. When you're reacting all day long, that is not where you're in the zone. And so for me, it's a big thing, but a small thing. But I think just from a mental standpoint, it's critical.
I love it. Well, guys, I'm also going to be bringing in a couple thoughts from Tim Brahim. He wasn't able to join this live event, but he did. Him and I had an email exchange, and I'll bring in what Tim had to say, because Tim is the one that inspired me, and I don't know how many years ago it was, but inspired me that, I need to get to inbox 0. And And I want to be in full disclosure. I do not live every single day at inbox zero. In fact, when there is a day that I end inbox zero, it may only be, I don't know, 20 to 30 days a year. I do try to get to inbox zero by every weekend. And if I don't, I schedule time on a weekend to get to inbox zero. So I start the week. And there's weeks where I don't get it. I don't do it. But I try to execute in a way that keeps my inbox pretty low, and I put things actionably. So my definition for inbox zero is not like every single day you're at inbox zero. Now Tim Brahim is like, he's not only at inbox zero every day, he's at inbox zero multiple times throughout the day. And at the time, and even when he was one of the most successful loan officers in America, he lived at that standard. So he lives at a really high standard of inbox zero. Let's go through the group here. And by the way, if you're listening to this and you are an inbox zero, like you play that game and you live at that level, comment down below. I want to know who you are. I might even ad hoc and invite some other people that are living at inbox zero into this mastermind. And if you aren't, feel free to tell us where you're at. Like, where are you at? How many emails do you have in your inbox right now? So Todd, let's go to you first. And I'm going to go down the group. I want to hear from both of you. What does inbox zero mean to you? How often are you there? And what do you think it means as a coach?
Well, I mean, let me start off with saying, I think it's probably the top nemesis, maybe rivaled by social media, of loan officer productivity. So I loved it, Keith, when you said, hey, that's really being reactive. And I think that, so much what I talk to people about is how do you become proactive, not reactive, to work your schedule, not work someone else's. So I think you nailed it, Keith, with what you said. And I think the whole idea is, how do you become more productive if you can look at we talked about it when we talked about Shayla Gifford's Modern Mortgage Summit keynote on what are your barriers, right? And for most people, email is a barrier because they don't have any system around it. And for me, I'm kind of like you, Dave. Well, I'm not like you. I'm not in the level of any of you, but it's, my goal here was to, kind of revisit my practices. You got me going on SaneBox, which has really helped mine a lot. And I've taught email best practices over the past 3-4 years in some of the group coaching stuff I've done. And I originally threw it in just as a side note. It wasn't anything had originally on the syllabus for the 90-day program. And it was actually one of the top rated segments that I did. And so it's something that I've continued each year to, improve on and add more of my tips and tricks. So I'll throw some of those in as we go through and let the inbox zero people, Stephanie and Keith, throw in their 2 cents.
Hey, real quick before I go to you, Stephanie, there's 2 tools that I use that I think help my productivity. And I've been a user of SaneBox for almost a decade. I think I was originally introduced to it by Darren Hardy 10 years ago. I've referred, I don't know how many people have signed up. I am going to put a link down below. In full disclosure, if you use that link, I'll get $5 if you sign up, and you'll get $5. So it is a discount link, but I'll bet you hundreds of, well, I know because can't remember the last time I paid my monthly fee for SaneBox because I've referred it to so many people. So I'm going to put a link down below. That is a tool I've used for, I think, a decade. I've also interviewed the co-founder of SaneBox a few times in the community on email management best practices. So you can check that out. You can probably just type in our YouTube channel, SaneBox, and you can hear the interviews with the founder. I also use a product called Rescue Time, which I'm a big believer of. It measures all the ways I spend time on my device. So like it scores me like every day, what's my productivity levels. And so it's literally like if you tracked every minute of your day and you wrote it down, it automates that based on your desktop. And it's a super important productivity tool for me. Check it out. I don't get a referral fee on that. So if you do that, no discounts here. So Stephanie, how would you define inbox zero for you?
I think that the Keith kind of said it best on that keeping everything up to date is more, to me, it's mental. So if I walk in and there's all these emails, I can't focus and I feel overwhelmed. So if I start my day at 0 and I've kept all of those clean, and 0 is not 0 all day long. I think that's impossible. So if people really think that is stuff coming in. Our rule is stuff from the day before should never be there. So we try to clear out email before we leave. We walk in, we have someone that gets here at 7 a.m. They clear out our email box in the morning. So really throughout the day, it's going to build back up. But when we leave, our goal is every email past 5 o'clock is gone. And then of course you're going to have them come in at nighttime. Same way we handle our CRM, everything proactive and cleaned out and finished. It's also going to help communication. So I don't understand how people, if you've got all of these emails, how do you know if you miss one? I mean, you can't monitor your communication replies through, you know, an email is a big way to communicate if there's so much in there. It gives me anxiety. I can't do it. So that's what we do. One of the things that's a little bit different as far as how I manage email is I have a team inbox. So I do not use a personal email, anything for clients. So clients, realtors, anything communication. We have 8 people and we live in the same inbox. So we are very weird in that, but it helps streamline communication. And then when I go off to appointments or handle stuff, there's always someone monitoring my email box that keeps it clean all day long. And it avoids the issue of a realtor referred a client in, and you were in a consultation or in another appointment. You know, we can keep the response times and our SLAs down because someone is always monitoring it.
Got it. So you want to get to inbox 0 daily. That's a goal. You have your team that helps you manage that inbox. So I think that's good. And remember, community, if you have questions, put them in chat. I will be monitoring Facebook. Do either one of you, Todd or Keith, do you have a question for Stephanie on any of that?
Well, I love the fact that you have your team in there. So is it just set up through your company through Outlook? How do you have that many people in your inbox at once?
Yes, it's very weird. And so the main thing is if you ever go to someone helping you with email or multiple people living in the same inbox, you have to have a plan. Like it is very imperative and everybody has to be on the same page. And where it kind of came from, we do a lot of stuff like that in the company level. So the company creates a sub inbox in my Outlook. So I have my email, which y'all have, but not, if you go online, you will not find my personal email anywhere, nor my cell phone. Doesn't mean you can't reach me because I answer the team email quicker than I answer my personal, but my team email is everywhere. So whatever you market out is what people are going to send you back. So how do you contact people? What do you put on your marketing? That's what they'll come back in. And so we have a folder system. We have color coding. We have all of that where there's a plan as who does what and what is different people's jobs. And part of it came from, I'm not a big CC person. So if you have 5 people on an email and they're all on there, how do you directly know who's doing what and what's handled? You don't. Versus the way that we handle our inbox, if it's there, it needs to be done. So then if someone claims it, does it, they FYI everybody else and folder it, we know that that is taken care of with clarity and not 5 people have tried to do the same thing.
I love that. It reminds me a lot of how my wife runs our mortgage team, although they assign one person every day to manage the shared box so that there's not that many people having to watch it. And then they've got that folder system for each loan in process and each pre-qualification. And then someone, you know, every document is in there on all of that. But that would be the one difference of how she runs it versus how you are doing it. But I think it's a genius idea.
Hey, Steph, question about your team. So you don't really have your own individual email. That's one of the things I really try to do. My top guy has a team email box, but because I run the region, my primary assistant sees my emails, but I can't really have everybody else see the emails because I do get some HR stuff, you know, related in. But on the group, so your other team members, do they have individual emails? So will they send an email out from their own personal email, or is everything outbound to customers and realtors from the team email, from everybody on the team?
So there's very specific. So we went from when we were doing, and there's different levels. When we were doing 70 million, no one used a personal email. Like for anything client or realtor related, HR stuff, personal stuff, of course, your own email box, it's there. They have it. But no one emails a client nor a realtor from their personal email. With us getting bigger, we've moved some loan process stuff to their personal emails. So just because if you've got this many CDs balancing and they're all in one place, it's become a little bit difficult. But in general, it's outbound. So even today, every pre-qualification we send, every realtor email, every email out of our CRM, every single email comes from the team email, and everyone's email signature has the team email listed because again, what you send out is what you reply. the other thing to me that helps with us being such a big team, and I guess I should have said this up front, all the leads are mine. So everything is my business. I'm a branch manager, but I have no LOs. So we have team LOs where everybody helps me, but we are all working on the same file. So we've had to think, okay, how do you have this many people and grow and all know everything about everything? So that's kind of the backstory behind it. It's like I said, every little thing. So their email signature says the Johnston team on it. That answered it. Kind of long-winded answer. Sorry.
No, but it's good. And so takeaway for everybody listening, if you have a team, having different names worked to a certain point, then you got to, you had the team email. And then now that you're over 100 million, you have the team email as your primary, but you also have individuals. So Keith, how do you do that? How do you handle that?
Yeah. So a couple of things. So for me, zero inbox is like less than 10. If I'm less than 10, I'm doing well. Cause there's always one or two emails that I'll have that might carry over. I think the big thing is that your inbox is not a to-do list. So I know, and I've seen a lot of originators will leave something that they need to do in their inbox as a reminder, as opposed to put something on a list. So shameless plug here for Win by Noon, but for me, all of my actual to-dos. So if I get an email that's a to-do, it is not an email to do in my inbox. It's written down on my Win by Noon planner. And then that email is out of there. But I think there's a couple of things here, and go to what Jocko just kind of says and coined, and it's awesome. It's discipline equals freedom. And I think this is one of the biggest things that people run into when they start trying to figure out, how do I organize this chaotic inbox called email? And they look at it as a daunting task. I got 5,000 emails. How do I get through this? And so I think there's a couple of things that I would just say is like, from a discipline equals freedom standpoint, is that you're going to see the value when you get on the other side of it, but you are going to have to commit to clean up rules and systems to be able to get through an inbox that has 5,000. One of the first things I'd say is, if you have an email that's over 45 days old, like, it's done. You haven't responded to it. Just throw it in another inbox and like clean everything else up and move forward. I know, and I've seen a lot of people, they'll have an email that's 6 months old. And they're like, I'm going to get to that. And it's just, you're not, and everybody else has moved on who sent that to you. It is what it is. So clean that up and move forward. And then for us, like, we are rules. Everything has a rule. If there's an email, a similar email that I receive multiple times, it has a rule. And what I mean by that is we've set up folders. So if you look at my inbox, it looks crazy, but it works. We have folders for everything. So CDs have folders, right? Disclosures have folders. All the different emails that you get as you run through your business has a folder and a rule associated with it, so that it does not sit in my inbox. I have a place to go view it if I need to, and I know exactly where that is, but it's a rule. I think the other thing is there's subscriptions things, like, let's say the Crispin report. Like I read that all the time. That's an automatic rule into info that I need to read. So these rules are automatically clearing out my inbox for me, so that I don't have to go in and do that. I think the other thing is, and this has been really cool for us, is, especially as a family, like, work inbox is not personal inbox. So I do not have any personal emails outside of work related stuff coming into my work inbox. We actually established a family inbox. And and that's what we use for, retail shopping, or if I sign up for something, like, we have a completely separate inbox that's not even linked to my email. I never see it. I got to go log into Google if I want to check that thing. And I've seen that as an issue. Sometimes people just get all this other stuff that doesn't have anything that's work related in their inbox, getting a lot of clutter. And then for me, the big thing that helps is it's just team interaction. So if I have a really heavy day of work-related activities in my daily team meeting, my primary loan partner, I let them know, like, hey, I need you to exist on my inbox a little bit more for me, because I'm not going to do that. But one of the things that my primary partner does is she'll look at my email at 11 and 4 every day and just clean stuff out. If there's stuff that I don't need, she's been with me for 12 years. So she knows me, we're in sync, right? But she'll clean stuff out for me. If there's something I need to respond to, it'll be flagged. And then I can just jump into my inbox for 20 minutes, see what's flagged, see what I need to adjust, clear some stuff out, and then kind of move on. So those are some, like, I guess, simpler best practices. But the big thing for me is rules. Like, you've got to establish rules so that emails automatically move to different folders.
Can I pile on that for a second? Because
yeah, for sure.
I think that that is really critical if you don't want to spend the money on something like SaneBox. There's so many of you who get that email every day that says rates have posted. You know, you don't need that email ever, right? You just go to your Optimal Blue or wherever your pricing is when you need pricing. And so you have lots of corporate emails that should just have rules sending them straight to trash that you don't need. And then also, like Keith said, there's other rules I think that are super critical. That's the place to start, because ultimately in the end, the search feature in your mail folder is really good. It's really powerful. So you can find something really quick that's not in your primary inbox where you may be leaving it to get to it in the future.
So
I would say on that, I think that is one of the problems that a lot of people have is they say, oh my gosh, what if I get rid of this? I can't find it. Well, your inbox should never be something you're searching for. Folders, 150%. Like, you need to have a folder and have a plan for where things go. It doesn't mean you're getting rid of it. You can still search it. It's still there, just like Todd said. So whether that is you're putting, you know, we have a folder that's all of our pre-quals we've ever issued. And because that's something I want to reference and use, but I just have a folder for it. I issue the pre-qual, I copy myself, I put it in there. We have a folder for everyone in process. We have some, you know, random folders. We actually have a whole entire CD process and email and situation with that, because we did realize, we went through our email boxes and realized most of the emails you get are to do with a loan. So when you trigger RESPA and you're going from contract to close, I would look at those are a huge piece of your actual inbox. And if you start with a plan for those emails, the rest of what you get a day is a little more manageable to deal with. So just when you quantitate what it is, and some of that is going to be document process. So clients email you docs. We love when they upload them, but some clients are going to email them. We never leave income and asset documents or something of that sort in the email to handle. They are saved, put where they need to go, and they're a task in the CRM to handle later, versus if they're left in the email or an online application to come in, that is not the place for that. It's moved to our CRM.
All right, guys. So what I'd like to do, I want to leave time to talk about other platforms, like how are you using Microsoft Teams, or how are you using Slack and other platforms to manage communication outside of email. So I want to close out with that. So just setting expectations, everybody. I want everybody to read off the folders that you use most strategically. I'm going to go first. Now, I want to, before I do this, I use SaneBox. So I'm going to, you know, most of my most strategic folders are SaneBox that have rules. And then I have folders like for every interview that I do or communication I have for anybody I've interviewed, I have a folder called interviews. It's kind of probably like pre-quals for you guys. I have a folder for sales. I have a folder for partners, you know, so I have a partner called Grow. So if it's an existing Mortgage Coach client where we're growing, I put it, you know, things that I want to save in the Grow folder. If it's a new brand that we're trying to get into the Mortgage Coach community, I put that in the sales folder. And if it's a strategic partner that we integrate with, I put it in there. So I'm going to read off a list of what I use in SaneBox, because I couldn't maintain Inbox Zero without SaneBox, because it's like a personal assistant that is just automatically putting things in these folders. So I have one that's called Sane 2 weeks. So if there's something that I want to get reminded by in 2 weeks, I throw it in the Sane 2 weeks. I don't use that very often. I have Sane after 3 p.m. So if it's something that, you know, I don't have time right now, but I want to look at this afternoon, end of day, I have that. I have Archive. I was originally trained by getting things done. And that would be like when I originally started doing Inbox Zero with David Allen's Getting Things Done and Tim Brahim, it was called Someday. You know, like, I don't want to throw this away and delete it, throw it in the Someday folder, but I call it Archive. I've got a black hole where, like, if I never want to get an email from this person again, black hole, Sane black hole, and Sane Mail will make sure I never see that person or that email again. I've got CC. Anytime I'm CC'd, and I highly recommend this, guys, anytime I'm CC'd, it goes into my CC folder, Sane CC. I not only is that someone giving me something, other people are delegated. I don't want that in my inbox. I want to be able to see it at the end of the day or whenever I want to go look, like, hey, what did I get CC'd on? But I don't want that cluttering up my attention during the day. So Sane CC, Sane Friday, Sane Monday, Sane News. Anytime it's like a newsletter or something to read, I don't ever want that in my inbox. I like when I have time blocked to read, I'll go scan my Sane news folder. Uh, Sane next month, Sane remind me Saturday shopping. I don't, if anything that's an ad, I mean, that never touches my day-to-day inbox. It goes directly into my Sane shopping folder. Sane social. You know how you get, some of you have social media, all of you have social media, and you get triggers and alerts. I don't want those going to my inbox. But I like to look at them every once in a while. So they go directly into Sane social, Sane tomorrow, Sane travel, because I travel so much. I'm on so many travel newsletters. I don't want those in my inbox. I want those to go directly into another folder. There's a few others, but those are my folders. Keith, do you mind reading off? Well, first of all, any questions from either of you guys on what I just went through?
So you're going in at the end of the day. The CC one was the one that kind of stuck out to me because I don't have a CC folder, and I actually like that idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's like right now.
When are you looking at that? Like, how often are you looking at that? What kind of
I have
discipline?
Time to do it. I mean, I've got, and it did take, like when I first started using that several years ago, there were a few times where I forgot to look at it, and there were some important CCs that I'm like, oh shit, sorry, I didn't respond. But I mean, I'm trained now. I mean, I look at it daily, probably 2 to 3 times a day. I'll look at my Sane CC folder. Right now, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 unread CC emails, and none of them require my action or attention. So anyways, that's that. Any other questions?
No, I think that also goes down to training then too. Like if you're going to implement a CC process where you're potentially going to folder those and not look at it, you also need to have your team understand that they know that if you're doing that, right? So if you're CC'd on stuff, because sometimes I'm CC'd on stuff just because they want to put the market leader, on an email because it might have more clout and they're trying to get something done. I don't necessarily need to do that. They're just putting me on there. Yeah, but it's important that the team knows that you're putting that in an inbox, because if they need you to do something, they've got to call you out on it.
Yeah, well, everybody's got their different. What are your folders? Just read them off.
Yeah, so folders. So folders for me, yeah. So I mean, you've got the in-processing stuff, right? So, but everything's separated out. So we get an email at disclosures. So disclosures email, CD email, appraisal email, any kind of loan approval status change. All of those are in individual folders, right? So it's an in-processing box, and then has a subfolder. So those are the rules there. I have an info to read folder. So, a lot of different things that I've signed up for that I like to dedicate some time to read, industry related articles, they go into there. I have an ideas folder. So if there's something that comes up that's a great idea, because often I'll actually, when I'm out and about and I have a great idea or an idea that pops in mind, I send myself an email. Just in that moment to remind myself to come back to that later with that idea. That goes into the idea folder. The same thing with videos. Sometimes I'll have an idea for a video and it just comes to me really quickly. I send myself a quick email and then I throw it in that video box so that when I go shoot video, I've got an inbox of a bunch of ideas to jump into. I got an HR box, right? So anything goes from an HR standpoint, team, recruiting. And then for me too, Do
you do HR and recruiting in the same folder, or do you
separate?
So yeah,
separate. So I have a market leader folder. I have a market leader folder, which is really just my area manager. They call me a market leader. I'm an area manager at other companies. I have a market leader inbox, and then all that stuff related to there is in subfolders. So I have 2 big main folders. One is for personal production. One is for market leader duties, and then subfolders within that. So that like if I'm looking at my inbox and I need to work on production stuff, I just close out everything else. So I don't have all these folders listed. So it's 2 main folders, subfolders. I think the other thing too is, you talked about systems a little bit, or programs that you're using. We don't necessarily have any programs that we use. We're a task-based system team within the CRM. So everything is tasked out. But I think one of the big things that isn't necessarily related to how you manage your email, but it's signatures. I probably have 30 different signatures. And that was one of the big things that we worked on from a team standpoint in 2020 is if you're sending a similar email 3 times in a month, it's a signature. So not only are we trying to create efficiencies within our inbound email communication and trying to delegate and task and clear out the inbox, we're also trying to create efficiencies within our outbound email communication. And there are emails that we send on a regular basis that are very similar. You're just maybe changing names and amounts and numbers, that's a signature. And so for me, you know, I can respond to it. You know, an agent copies me on an email so that I can reach out to the listing agent. I have a signature and I just click 2 buttons and rechange the name. And I've got this beautiful email that goes out in 10 seconds to the listing agent on a transaction. So I probably have about 30 different signatures, and each of my team members has at least 10. So that's what I came out with my team in 2020. I said, I need you to create at least 10 signatures based on emails that you send on a frequent basis, just to save time.
So what about when you send a total cost analysis, do you have a specific signature that you use for a TCA?
Absolutely. Yep.
And what about, I know when I
different signature if it's purchase versus refinance.
Right. Okay. So you've got a purchase TCA signature, a refi TCA. And I know when I interviewed you, how Keith Collins and team use Mortgage Coach, your team does the setup. Is there any type of signature or template that your team is using, you know, in terms of how you do that handoff with the TCA?
Yeah, when someone gets qualified, there's 3 emails that are created on my team, and they're all signatures. The first email is to the team. And so that email is basically whatever LOA that did the file, it's their notes from their mind, right? It's why they did what they did. So that if any point in time another team member needs to jump in the file, there's a quick dialogue that's saved because that's copied the contact. So that email goes out to the team, and then it's BCC'd the contact in our CRM. So we can go into the CRM and just kind of see those notes. There's an email that goes out to the agent with an update as to, you know, and it's a really bulletized update, right? It's what they're qualified for, the loan program, how quickly we can close, if they need credits, have we verified income and assets. It's that so, and the idea with that is that's an email that, you know, the agent as they're running can just save in their client folder. And if they have to figure out like, what program was the client doing really quickly, they have an email from us that really breaks all that down. And then the third email goes to the customer. And that is the TCA email breaking down the qualification, if there's any outstanding items that are needed associated with it. All of those are BCC'd to the CRM so that it's in there, and it goes out to the team. And then within a team thing, I think this is not necessarily answering your question, but it's something I think is really cool. So in the email body, so you were talking, Stephanie, about, you know, having multiple people CC'd. So if we do have multiple people CC'd in there, but someone specifically needs to take accountability associated with email, in the body of the email, you just put @ and their name. And if you're at least running an Outlook system, it'll automatically populate them in the body, in the to section, right, of the email. So it'll send the email to them, but in the body of the email, it's telling them this is for you. So @Joy Patterson, please do this, this, and this. And that's been a really great thing for us because we do have that where a couple people are CC'd. It's one person is telling everybody else who needs to handle this.
I love
Does that make sense?
It does. So Mortgage Coach community, I had done an interview last year with Keith on how Keith Collins and team use Mortgage Coach. That's the title of it. I just put that in chat down below. And I do believe you showed the sample of your emails. So you can see how the handoff takes place in the TCA creation and the way Keith sends that, you know, what the consumer experience looks like. So listen to that video if you want to get more on that. Stephanie, any questions for Keith after everything he just said? Or any takeaways?
I just wrote notes on, we use templates. So it's the same thing as signatures, but I make an Outlook template, not a signature. So then when I create my signature, it auto updates all the time with it. So it's the same exact feature, it's just a different way to do it in Outlook. And I make them for a lot of things, but I just wrote down more things that I'm going to go make them. And I'm going to ask the team what email they send more than 3 times a month. And I'm going to make more because we live by that too. You know, we've got our pre-qualification email out to the consumer with their Mortgage Coach link, explaining it, what the next steps are, et cetera, as a starting point. But I don't have one for the agent. I don't know why, but we don't have one. So we're going to make one for the agent. We type it out every time. Well, that's silly. Let's not do that. So I actually got some good takeaways on that. And I think I agree with that. I mean, all of those things, of course, you know, are huge time savers.
So, and Stephanie, I just realized I don't think I've done a how you and your team use Mortgage Coach interview. I know you're busy, but any chance I can calendar out 30 minutes and just run through how you and your team use Mortgage Coach at some point?
Of course.
Okay. So
absolutely.
stay tuned on that. We're going to add her to that list. And just a reminder to anybody that's listening to this, I've got 31 videos because how every top producer uses Mortgage Coach has some nuances to it. So, I mean, how Jeremy Forcier uses Mortgage Coach, there's a 43-minute video on how he does it. How Denise Donahue uses Mortgage Coach. So if you ever want to hear how other loan officers efficiently and effectively create a TCA, what they do and what they don't do, just know that there's a library for that. And we'll get Stephanie added to that library. And Keith, you're in that library. So thank you for doing that. Todd, anything you want to call out at this point? Oh, you know what? Before we do that, Todd, Stephanie, we didn't get your folders.
If you could folders, yes. I do want those. I'm going to give you a couple broad emails because I have multiple email boxes. So again, like we said, I've got my personal that I do not really use for much interaction with no clients have it. Realtors, if a realtor actually emails it or a client, I move it to the team email. So I reply if they send it to the wrong one, I'm going to change my reply for where I want it to go next time. Takes a long time to do that, but eventually they learn, like, please send them here. So in my team inbox, everything for the loans runs through. So we have team loan officers, and then they have an assistant that helps along the way. So the in-process emails, each person is a folder, and every client underneath that's a subfolder. I can say our email box was getting very big when we did that. Once a file funds, I'm okay with it, and I delete the emails. We've saved all the documents. The email folder's done. So know that even I delete and it's finished. So those are my main ones in there. And then we've got big categories. So when a client's qualified, I do not have a separate folder for every client. It's impossible. People try to do it. I can't have 300, 500 folders. It doesn't work. So we have one for agent emails, client docs. So we have a whole doc process. We get the doc in, we save it, it uploads to the file. Here's my just catch all. Heaven forbid I need to go reference it. It's their email. I have one that is important. Every new lead that comes in, usually most our leads are coming in through email. It comes to the team, it's addressed, it's put out, but that's foldered in my lead folder where every day I can go back and we can see every lead that came in, because those are super, super important. Every pre-qualification that is issued has a folder, and they're all together. And then the email that we sent to the agent as well. And then a separate folder for all of our refi workups. So those two outbound, we're CCing ourselves and we're dropping them in there because that information of what the team has sent to the client is super important for reference. And then we've just got some basic reporting, some stuff for like closed loans, marketing. We have one for products. So we've got a product thing in the team. So those are all entire team inboxes. I recently moved to a closing inbox. Like I have an entire email that is closings. We took all of our closings for CDs, balancing, funding, and all of it's in one place, because I defined the back and forth CD balancing, no matter whose inbox it is. Is it the assistant? Is it mine? Is it this? It's a lot of emails. So those have an entire inbox, and it's worked really well for us. And that is segmented as to the prelim and non-balanced, where we disclosed it, is my CD signed, funding. And so there's some boxes within my closing folder, but anything closing related all goes over there.
Can I ask a question on that? Closing related. So on that closing related, is that a separate email address?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. So can we break that down for a second?
Uh-huh.
So your closing team knows to send those updates to a different email internally?
Yep.
Okay. So your closer, when the closer sends the email out to, let's say, the escrow officer to balance, and then they copy you, that is a completely different email address that is only associated with your team's closings.
Yes.
That's freaking brilliant.
And then we have a person, like the LOAs, their job is to manage it all day. And they're managing CDs being signed. And then they're managing the CD out. So the template out to our closers or bars that says, here's your final CD. That's there. So it's segmented as to the process. It's 1 through 8. And I guess I can list them off if this is helpful. Prelim and non-balanced CDs, initial instructions to title, initial CD email, like the disclosure, the CD confirmation, the final CD to the client, the closing packages to title, and then funding. So it goes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in order, and they're all there. So anyone on the team and the entire team has access to that. And that's a job duty for the day. And then if one person's out, I don't have it in assistant A's inbox. I didn't have to CC anybody else. Someone else picks it up.
So beautiful.
I love
think
it.
it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant because Stephanie, you are focusing on originator activities of getting and lead generation, lead conversion. And you're not worrying about the stuff that your team should be worried about. And I think there's so many loan officers out there who see all that other information on loans that's just not pertinent to them. If you got a great team, let them do their job. You don't need to see it. You don't need to micromanage it. And so, big applause to you for doing that.
I think that's another point there too, is if I could just jump in really quickly, and because I'm going to applaud you, Steph, there. Like, I think that if you look at the systems that she's put into place associated with her business, it is directly correlated to how much production she's doing. She has created a significant amount of discipline associated with just email. And I would be awesome. And this, Dave, like, this would be something else that'd be really cool if we took like the top 10 or top 15 and did a call and literally just broke down their team. Like, who does what and what do they do? Because I think that's one of the biggest gaps that a lot of originators have on how do we get to that next level is how do we delegate and who does what in their team? Like, how do we build a team out? But I think that's just, it's so awesome how many systems you've created associated with the team and how disciplined you've been with that. And that's created a significant amount of freedom for you to be able to go and be the rainmaker, which is awesome. It's so cool. I love it.
I just got to take away that we need to have a mastermind on breaking down your teams, teamwork and team building. So I will make sure I add that to the content that we put in this community. Jeremy had asked you, Keith, how are you BCCing call notes to your CRM? And Todd, do you know if we could do this in Total Expert? So anyways, how are you doing that?
So the account has the actual contact. If it's an important email, the actual contact itself has a separate BCC email, or we're sending the email out through the database, right? So we're sending the email out. So if you have a Salesforce database, you can send the email out through the CRM, and then it's there. So it's either it's only on important emails. Like if this is something that's really important, like the client said, hey, I don't know, we're doing an FHA home loan with 3.5% down. All of a sudden, we jump their credit score and they get money for down payment. And now the scenario is completely changed from what we had originally did. That is an important email that needs to exist in the database. So if someone else does come in, we understand that everything's now changed. So the CRM allows me to have a specific email to the individual account in the CRM. So it's a little time intensive, but you can create that email and then just pop it in, and it'll automatically BCC the CRM, or you can send an email out of the CRM.
Got it. Let's not get into the weeds on different CRM. Yeah. No, you answered it great. I'm just, to Jeremy, not gonna, by the way, I think that's important. I think it's important that you should have a process in a way that for important emails, or just call it the emails you want to be attached to the CRM record, that are in there. I know. Yeah. I interviewed Jeremy Forcier. He uses Salesforce. He showed how him and his team interact. And like when it comes to creating a TCA, his team schedules a task for him and he just works his calendar, creates TCAs, and then he sends the email out through his CRM. So, my takeaway to everybody listening to this, have a process, be consistent. That's it. There are probably some that have less mouse clicks and, take 30 seconds to a minute faster than others. But at the end of the day, if you're a leader, have the process, consistently execute it. If you lead a team, have a standard, consistently manage it and lead it, and you're good to go. Check. Consistency is the key, and having the process is what matters most. So, Todd, I do have another question. We've only got 15 minutes left. But before I ask that, is there anything you want to unpack, anything you want to shine a light on, or any questions you have for the crew?
Let me shine a light on one thing that you said earlier about Tim Brahim and the fact that David Allen was a big influence on him, because when I was back in the Loan Toolbox days, that was a big influence on me. So that's a great place to start, to go buy the book, Getting Things Done, and look at his email and how he handles it. You can put an @ sign or, a symbol in front of the folder name, and it moves it to the top of the folder. So it even puts it ahead of A. And so just think about what that looks like. And I think also I would encourage you to think, how can this apply to my personal inbox as well? Like, what can I be doing at home? Like, I've got a bills folder and I've got a family folder. Cause again, you hit the nail on the head, Dave. It's a someday maybe folder from the David Allen days, right? I got a travel folder for when I used to travel a lot that had all my airline reservations and all my, anything else I might need when I showed up at a hotel to be able to check in. It was all in one spot. And so don't just think about this from a work perspective. Think about how can I be more productive in life as well.
Cool. And that reminds me, I want to make sure I bring in some of the Tim Brahim takeaways. So I had asked him back when you were a loan officer, running a team, producing, how often were you at Inbox Zero? And now today, you're a coach and entrepreneur and doing other things. How often are you at Inbox Zero? And he answered both, every 2 to 3 hours. So when he was running big teams, doing monster volume every 2 to 3 hours, today in his role as a coach and entrepreneur, he still lives it. So that is his standard. Thought that was interesting. And then I asked him how important he thought it was. And it's funny. He's like, obviously, very. We're talking about mind clutter. I'm not going to read every letter in this, but let's just say Tim thinks it's critical to mental health. He thinks it's critical to being your best. Now, I've interviewed countless loan officers, thousands of top producers, and I haven't asked everybody, hey, do you live at Inbox Zero? But I could tell by the post that I made and the conversation I have had, everybody doesn't live at Inbox Zero. In fact, among top producers, I think, if you're an Inbox Zero living it, you're not the norm. But I would tell you that if I talk to every top producer, that also say, you know what, I'd be more efficient. I'd be more effective. I'd be more mentally healthy if I lived closer to Inbox Zero. So I just throw that out there to everybody think about it. I do think trying to drive that standard. I'm not going to try to improve. Like, I'm not going to try to be Tim Brahim and get to Inbox Zero every 2 to 3 hours. I can't do it. But I could be at Inbox Zero multiple days a week, like upgrade from weekly to a couple times a week. And I personally could upgrade from kind of falling off the wagon probably 10 weeks out of the year to maybe like never falling off the ladder and living that standard of weekly not win by noon, but Inbox Zero. So guys, we got 18 minutes left. We got 12 minutes left. What are you doing in terms of communication with your team outside of email? Like, I do think it's a best practice to do as much team communication through either Slack or Microsoft Teams. I do want to know, Keith, are you doing that, or is all of your team communication email and text?
It's email, text, and Zoom. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have a Zoom call. The Monday one is 9 a.m. We run through the entire pipeline with the processor on the phone or on the Zoom, and just kind of go through all the files, and then just what came over the weekend, and then what do our weeks look like. And then Wednesday, Friday, it's just a quick 10-minute, and it's who needs help with what, right? Because sometimes we're imbalanced, right? One person is way overtasked and the other person's got flexibility. So we load balance on that call. And then my team's a really tight knit team. We just text. So we have a group text chain that we're all four on from a production standpoint, and we do that. I think the other thing for me, just as a leader that's helped out a little bit from a team standpoint, is they know my schedule. So I do send an email out every Monday morning that breaks down any kind of critical things that happened last week that they just need a reminder on. It always has kind of a thought for the week, but then has my schedule. So it lets them know, okay, like Monday, super full, Thursday, really full, going to be hard to get a hold of, right? Or whatever. And so if they're trying to reach me via email, I have the ability to go back and be like, did you read my Monday email? So because you know that I wasn't going to be available to look at it during that time period. So that is something I think has helped out a little bit, is that Monday email just to the people that I lead, not only on my personal production, but the region that I run, is that they have an idea of kind of what my week looks like. And that helps. And then if I can just throw another best practice in there, for me, I don't really look at my phone or my email on the weekends. I don't look at it on Sunday at all. And then in the evenings, like it's on do not disturb, 7 p.m. it goes upstairs. But one of the things that I do on Sunday is I do spend, and this has been a big thing for me, I spend about 30 to 45 minutes on Sunday around 4 o'clock or so, because Sunday's really just kind of a home day, and I clean out my inbox for Monday. That is something that is really, so that Monday morning when I come in, because everything's all time blocked out. Monday morning when I come in at, at 7 a.m., I can get that Monday email put together, and I'm not responding to other emails. It's really all been cleared out at about 4 o'clock on Sunday.
Beautiful, bro. That was some great nuggets, added value. Stephanie, what about you? Team communication. Are you using any other platforms? And if you could list your communication platforms as a team leader.
Okay. 2 takeaways before that, just things I was thinking of that y'all talked about. When you're managing your inbox, tell people where you want them to email you. So like we were talking earlier, the closing disclosures, your processors, your underwriters, your closing team, your realtors, your team, which email should they use? So when you make a plan, tell people. So we revamped some things. We told every person, copy this person, do not copy me unless this. Helped a ton to clear out emails. And then we copy, everything goes in our CRM. So one thing that helped me realize, like, it's okay if you don't have that email because it got moved or deleted or you can't find it, everything goes in our CRM. So then it makes you feel, one, it's more helpful, and we don't manage based on the email, we manage based on the CRM. So not your question, but just 2 things I thought about. We use Zoom every morning. So we have a 9 a.m. Every morning, try to be 10 minutes with the entire team. What's hot today, what needs to happen. Everyone goes around and tells us what they need to do. That has really helped. It's a requirement to turn your camera, by the way, no matter what you look like. And I'm one that with COVID, do not have makeup on, and I got my hot mess bun going on, and I'm okay with that. I'm not going to get on video with you guys like that, but with my team, it's cool. So video, it makes us feel more connected, get that, we're all on the same page, get that knocked out. And then we are teams all day. My team knows if you want me, text is actually the worst way to reach me. And I know that is so weird, but if I'm at my computer, I see that so much quicker. And I have teams on my phone. So we have different groups of people in teams where we have everyone. We have, me and team A, team B, team C with the different groups of the LO and LOA. I have different processors, and a lot of the stuff is FYI. So it kills some of the emails when you've got the whole group and you can say, hey, FYI, this appraisal came in. I don't need to CC that to 7 people now. I can just tell them, we know this was urgent. It's here. Done. Perfect. And then if someone's off, there's a log of it. So you can go back and you can read everything that's in there. And I didn't realize Teams had an app. So then if I'm not even at my computer and the team needs something, I get a message and I can pop in there and reply from my phone. So it's the same feature. Also, when you're in there, everyone that you add to the group, I didn't realize this, you can video call or just call inside Teams. So to me, it's easier when I'm on a computer or I want to reach a process or whoever, I can call them from my computer screen with one button, and then we can do a group call and I don't even have to make a Zoom chat. So I find that super, super helpful, not to be like teams, but it's helped us. I also have all of our important documents in there. So you can upload like the main things that you use every day that the team needs are all inside there, where it's our reference and it's kind of our homepage for everything, and it takes that out of the email box.
So mortgage coach community, anyone listens, that's a best practice, guys. And there's 2 primary platforms that can do this. There's Slack, which we use at Mortgage Coach, and Slack is very big in the tech world. I think, there's a number of mortgage professionals using it, but, and Slack was recently acquired by Salesforce for billions of dollars, and Microsoft Teams. But here's the deal. Here's what I like about it and why I think it's so important is because we're salespeople, and we are a servant to our partners, realtors. For me, I'm kind of a servant. I'm selling to mortgage companies, tech providers. And so email is exterior. It's the outside world. And to have a wall where most of my communication that has to do with my internal team is internal. So I can, hey, external world, and then I can just go into Slack. What's my team want? Communicate. And to your point, it's awesome to be able to go from, we're having this water cooler text chat in Slack to clicking a button and we're on camera, and oh, we want to bring such and such in. We bring in such and such. We want to go from, camera to screen share. We want to, we keep a lot of things in Dropbox. We want to bring up a document. So I'm a big fan of that. It will help you get to inbox zero. And I also think it will help you manage your day more productively. So I do recommend, whether you use Slack, whether you use Teams. I'm sure there are other collaborative work. Oh, I just talked to #1 realtor in America, Jason Mitchell. Him and his internal teams, instead of Slack or Teams, is using Facebook Work. So another collaborative platform outside of email to operate as a team. So I do think that's a best practice. And it was very easy to adopt. I think of all the technology I've ever rolled out in my 20 plus years as an entrepreneur, rolling out Slack was like instant adoption, and love at first sight for just about everybody in our company. Keith, any questions about that? We only got 3 more minutes, so I want to go into wrap up mode, but any questions or comments?
Mine, no, not necessarily. My only concern that I thought, and maybe you can just address that, is, so you're moving to Teams. How is that decreasing? Like, you're decreasing your inbox, but you still have all this, you still kind of all of this communication. So do you feel like it's a similar amount of activity? It's just in a different place?
Yeah, I think it's maybe more activity, but better activity. I mean, I would say the net
Better
result is I am more productive as a salesperson because I'm able to organize and compartmentalize that communication, and the quality of my team communication, it's better. Like I'm more connected because I'm doing more video calls, and we're teaching like things that would have been done in email. There would have been more miscommunication, and there's not as much teaching and aligning. So it's higher quality team communication. But it might be actually more communication. Like, I do think maybe if we just did it in email, there'd probably be less touch points, but less quality. How would you answer that, Stephanie?
I think it's short. So the stuff that you're getting, instead of having to go back and forth and have 6 email chains, you have this long email chain to back, and now I got to delete. It's text, but it's on your computer and it's referenceable for later. So, we're all in this massive chat, and it doesn't annoy me that it goes, I just look at it every once in a while. And I know if it's group, it's not usually for me, it's like an FYI, but we'll use it. We have the same phone number. So you notice we have the same text number, we have the same phone number, and we have the same email for all these people. And so our receptionist will answer the phone, and she'll do a group chat, and she says, who's available to talk to this client? They want to pre-qualify right now. You see that on your screen. You're like, okay, they got it. Such and such took it. No one responds. Okay, I can take the call. So quick communication like that everyone sees immediately is so helpful. Because what if they don't have their phone on them? You see it on your computer screen if you're at your desk, especially for your team. I
like that too. I do like the multi-channel approach of it's here and it's there. And I have found, sidebar, that I'm using multiple devices while working. I've got my laptop, and I like to make that the home base, but I've got an iPad, I've got a phone, and so it's like multiple screens and multiple channels, and I feel more effective. So Todd, any final thoughts or final questions, and any coaching action plans for everybody?
I was going to say, final thought would really be an action plan. #1 is, first off, Keith and Stephanie, you guys crushed it. I mean, that was huge value. And I've always, always admired people who are at inbox zero. And, I think the action plan is listen to what Keith said, right? If you've got email that's more than 45 days old, just trash it. I would actually tell you to go through your email now and then literally select all and move it over to an archive folder and start with inbox zero, and then start with the rules that were talked about. If you want to invest in a product like SaneBox, use Dave's link that's down below. And I think that you just have to look for ways that you can be better. And I would say that less folders is more. You don't need 100 folders. Like Stephanie said, you can't have 300 folders for all your clients. And I would just look at how you can minimize the amount of time that you're spending taking action in your email. The bottom line is that it is your biggest time suck outside of social media. And if you can just get, a couple % better each week and eventually get to inbox zero, at the end of the week, like Dave was talking about, I think that your life will be a whole lot better.
Love it. Stephanie, is there anything that you didn't get to share that you wanted to share today?
I think that's it. It's like everything I say, it's make a plan. So follow exactly what Todd said. I don't need to repeat any of that. And then everything works differently. So the way that I manage it, or I have a team email, some people might be, you are crazy, I don't know what you're doing. Just pick something and work with it and follow the plan, make sure it's conveyed to everyone in your team internally. And like I said, externally, and then look at your email box for what is the most of it, what is taking most of your bandwidth. And again, I found that was mostly internal emails. Well, those are easy to handle because you can make a plan for those internal emails, rules for them, and you can change the destination of where those go. You've got half your emails taken care of going forward with a couple quick actions.
Love that. Keith, anything you didn't get to share that you want to share, or any closing thoughts from you?
Yeah. I think there's this fallacy that we have that, you have to respond to an email right away. And if I'm not responding to the email right away, like people aren't going to want to work with me, or they're not going to see that, they're not going to think that I'm available, or I'm too busy. And that's just not accurate. You can build systems around it. You have to respond to these things and make sure that the hot buttons are taken care of. But one of the big things that I heard here from Stephanie is she's trained people. And that's one of the things that we've done on our teams. We trained our realtors, we trained our other team members. Like, this is how we operate. And so for me, like they know I time block it out. I've got it on my calendar when I'm going to look at email. And on Mondays, I look at email at 11 o'clock and 4 o'clock. And so, but if I just sat there with my email up all day long, I wouldn't get anything done. And the other thing for me, I'm super ADHD. I had to turn off my alerts on my email. I think that's a big one. Get rid of that alert, because that alert pops up and you just chase that rabbit. You don't need to. So I have blocked that out. It is a lot easier I know people say, well, Keith, you got a team. I do have a team. Well, you have margin right now. We had one of the best years we've ever had in the business. Go build a team. Don't be a solo Suzuki. We've got opportunity. Build a team and create those systems and structure, because you will be able to grow through it. There's a book called Mastery. It's really good. And I'll sum this up real fast. And I think this is one of the biggest gaps people have when they start building a team, is they're looking at, like, I'm going to have to pay this and I'm going to make less, or, and they look at, you've reached this, you've been on this run up, and you're now at a place where the systems, infrastructure, and support that you have is not adequate to carry on the present volume. So this is going to happen. It's going to happen. So can you, when that happens, are you building to grab a plateau and then another increase later? And that's systems, infrastructure, support, and team. And so email is one of those things. But the other thing is bringing on a team member to help you out with a lot of those activities so that you can always beat your highest and best. And that's when you run. When you run and when you grow and you do things that are awesome is when you're always in that unique ability. So charging towards that. And for me, I know that email is not my unique ability. So we've created systems around it.
So guys, this has been an awesome call. I want to remind everybody watching this, we are creating amazing content to help you be more successful every single day of the week. So, today at 11 and every Wednesday at 11, we have black belt training. We'll have one of our success managers on that call, and he'll just be teaching you how to become a black belt. The two people on today's call are mortgage coach red belts. So they've both done over 1,000 TCAs. I think Stephanie has done over 2,000 total cost analysis. Keith right now is trending over 100. So you want to be efficient, you want to be effective. Using mortgage coach as part of that. Hopefully you got value from this session, just talking about email management. Stephanie and Keith, I learned things. I'm going to make more templates. That was one takeaway and one thing I wrote down. So Stephanie, thank you for a little bit of template inspiration. And I can't remember which one of you said, hey, if you do something more than 3 times a month, make a template out of it. So I got about 3 things that I'm going to do as a result of this call. So I learned from you, and I loved collaborating with both of you. I had a blast. So this call's a wrap. Everybody have an awesome Wednesday. And if you want to be a mortgage coach black belt, we'll see you at 11. And this Friday, I've got Shayla Gifford hosting an interview with me where her and I are going to interview John Israel, Mr. Thank You. And we're going to talk about the art and science of saying thank you. So tune in this Wednesday at 9 o'clock, or excuse me, this Friday at 9 o'clock, if you want to hear Shayla and I talk about the art and science of thank you. Take care, everybody.
Good seeing you guys.
Thanks, you guys.
Take care. Thank you.